Who's there? It's just me, Stalk, with T-Ravis, back with a bigwig interview. And I introduce to you David, Daddy Longlegs Deniston, interviewing Jeremy Howard, Director of Student Engagement at Trine University.
Thank you, Travis. So, Jeremy, you're a Trine graduate, right?
That's true.
And why don't you tell us about what Trine was like when you came here?
Yeah, well, I remember my first visit. We were on campus and going through everything. And this building, for example, the University Center, I remember walking through and it was nothing but dirt ground. And my tour guide, one of the reasons why I ultimately came to Trine, very nice lady, she said, imagine that there's going to be this big theater and this cafeteria and all the amenities you can think of. I was like, okay, it's just dirt right now. So that was demolished. This didn't exist. I lived in a traditional dorm my freshman year, called Stewart Hall. I don't know if that story still gets out, but that is actually where Stadium is at currently. That used to be a traditional dorm, so I remember that was there. But when you think of all the buildings, the golf course apartments came in literally my sophomore year. I was the first class to move into Sekuloff. It was funny, I was on Sekuloff 211, and this week I was doing meal deliveries for a couple quarantine peeps, and I went to that room. So it's kind of weird. I didn't go in, obviously. I was being sick. It was just kind of neat. So I don't know. I just say, between just infrastructure, out of student enrollment, when my graduating class, I think, was 500-ish, and at the time that was the largest graduating class. Mm-hmm. So since then, enrollment, the academics, all the various majors and going into grad school and masters and stuff. So none of that was there. Regarding athletics, we still had athletics, but as far as I'd say the overall success, it wasn't very spread out like it is now. I played football, and we had a semi-rough first year. We're fortunate to have next 3 years very good seasons, and a couple other sports were being successful, softball. But the big change now is just a lot of sports, and everybody's doing well in athletics, and a lot of different changes. And I've been grateful to experience the whole thing, going on a decade working here in August. So
nice. So is there anything that you miss from your undergrad that Trine doesn't do anymore, or are they pretty much doing everything that you enjoyed?
Oh boy. I guess everything that I was a part of, we still do. The traditional stuff. I know finals week. Mm-hmm. We would do. Bingo for Bucks was still the biggest event that we do. So I remember we still had that. But in terms of amping things up, what we usually do now for homecoming and all the variety of events, the Thunder Games competitions, Res Life doing different floor events and group competitions and whatnot. I didn't have as many options. We still had different performers and things like that throughout campus, but I just think the number of events, the number of opportunities that our students have now to get involved, in some sense was there, but just wasn't even close to what it is now. Mm-hmm. Tour to Trine tricycle race. I think it's had its ups and downs, but I remember, 1 year there were 2 teams racing, and then it's, when we get up to maybe 10, 12 teams, it's really cool to see, that improve. One thing, and I know, even in the back of our minds, planning stuff, one thing I saw recently that they did prior to even me being here was kind of like a go-kart race. So there's things now that we're looking back to see, is it time now to see if we can bring some of that stuff back? So ideas in general, but a lot of the staple events are still there, which is really cool.
That's cool. Now, you mentioned some new things that are going on, and you came up with the Surge/Ignite thing, right? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I'm not going to take all credit for that one. It was actually, if it wasn't for this young lady at the University of Central Florida, circa 2015. So during that summer, John, my boss, I'm pointing through the wall because that's where he's at, but he's not by me, ever present. Long story short, we went to a conference, a first-year experience conference in Texas, and all throughout the week, awesome, speeches, nice presentations, kind of, nuggets that I could get out of things. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't until the last day they had a poster session. If you know anything about conference, you go in this big room, you got people presenting with poster boards and food and whatever, and you just talk. Well, we were getting ready to leave, take off. So we headed out, and I'm like, we don't need to see a lot of these. The last table before we were going to make the turn to just leave, pack up, and go home was this University of Central Florida idea. And their program is called Link. Couldn't really use
Yeah.
that, but it was kind of neat, destiny awaits. But so I was like, oh, okay, let me hear more. And it was just the basic premise of using this program to, incentivize or encourage students to get out more, to really be a part of the college experience as best as they can. So Ignite was the first program that I started. And then after about, the first year or two, I'm trying to think, we saw success. And I think just from student satisfaction, those students who were heavily involved in it, we saw GPAs. There's that correlation between GPA and retention. Obviously, that's a big one. But we also noticed, students who were involved more on campus, not just with social things, but just together in general. Not as many are in academic probation or judicial. So it helps, and it may not be the only reason for student success, but it's a part of it. Or kind of use the Ignite idea to continue on to the second year students, which develop Surge. There's really not much difference in Surge. Ignite is an acronym, so it stands for something. When I got to Surge, I was like, I'm just gonna make a pretty logo, but I'm not gonna take time to come up with any type of acronym. So it's just Surge.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite part of running that? Like, do you like watching people climb the leaderboard throughout, or, assigning points to events? Maybe shopping at the end, I see all these prizes off camera.
Yeah. So, it's full transparency, man. I mean, it's always kind of been the same logistically throughout the semesters. Mm-hmm. The events change a little bit, the prizes, that's the one thing after the first 2 years. I mean, prizes were great, grand, wonderful, but then I started seeing more of the students interacting with me, and I really wanted to seek out, what do students want to see? The leaderboard, I can do a heck of a lot better job sending that out more frequently, but every single time I do it, I don't care if it was once a month or halfway through the semester, the week before the auction, that's when students come in the most. And to see that interaction reinforces me, like, I just need to make sure students know, what they're doing, why they're going to these things, and just the more I can talk with students, I think is the awesome part. But the stories, I think, sells everything. It just explains the reason why we're doing it. The one story that I always lean on is this was probably the second year into it. First semester Ignite happens, we have the auction, everybody has fun, whatever. The spring semester, I have 3 guys come in, and it's like that first week, and they're like, Jeremy, I know I didn't go to the auction, I didn't get points, but by golly, I'm gonna go as much as I can. I said, touche, good luck. Fast forward to the week before the auction back then, here comes 5 guys in my office. We're bantering back and forth. They want me to share how many points they've gotten. I'm like, bro, I don't share finances. I'm not going to share how many points people have. But then finally, they're interacting, they're laughing, and I'm like, do you guys know each other? How do you guys know each other? Whatever. And long story short, with the exception of 2 of them, because they were roommates, the 5 of them didn't really know each other prior to the spring semester. So I asked them. I said, well, how did you guys get connected? They look at me in the eye, straight face, and say, Zumba. I was like, all right, I'm listening. I'm listening to this. That second week of their spring semester, we had a Zumba event. Mm-hmm. And if you can imagine, 5 gentlemen going to Zumba. But they were the only ones there. So again, 5 guys at a Zumba event with the instructor. They had a wonderful time. Long story short, I told him, I was like, okay, if it wasn't for it being an Ignite event for you to get points, would you have gone? And they say, bleep no.
Yeah. So you never pick any Cinderella favorites or any fan favorites about
well, I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't. I always try to think of that. It's kind of neat to see some of that movement up the leaderboard. I can honestly say, there's within the first month, I think you can tell who the go-getters are. Mm-hmm. And then some of them, once they get ahead, they never look back. If I ever make some type of leaderboard, kind of like the ARC with all the records, I want to do that. But every year, somebody trumps somebody else. And, cat's out of the bag, but I'm sure if you don't know Connor Johnson by now, he will forever live down in infamy as probably one of the greatest Ignite slash Surge participants that I will ever have.
And are you working on any sort of plan to maybe convert Surge or Ignite points to US dollars or?
Yeah, awesome, great question. I just signed up for a Robinhood account, so that's really nice. Maybe I'll start that. No, because I know students who will get a prize and like, oh, Oculus. I'm thinking, shoot, I'm going to go get this Oculus. some people may think, ooh, I'm going to get retail value $3.99 or so. To also see a lot of the students who win these prizes, not to be selfish for any of those who win something and keep it, you can. But students are winning these prizes for somebody else, for a family member. I had one kid 2 years ago that won the TV, the 50-inch TV, because his brother's getting married, so he actually gave it to him as a wedding gift. And I'm like, awesome, man.
Right.
Great questions.
And
Love the intellectual integrity of this channel. That's what drew me to you.
My name is Blake Gross, and I approve this message.
I didn't know that.
You mentioned earlier that you played football here when you came here.
Yeah.
And I heard through the grapevine, it was from Caleb Cruz, that you were an all-star kicker
All-star.
when you were here, like top of the tops, and that you were a record setter.
Cream of the crop.
Yeah.
Back then, yeah, sure. Yeah. No, it was good. I played in high school and everything, and I joke around and I say, thank goodness that kicking is still a position in football. But my first year, I didn't get a whole lot of play. I played on JV. And then if you know anything about kicking, you don't really make friends unless you make field goals.
Mm-hmm.
But it was that sophomore year where I got to start, and like I said, 3 great years. Team was awesome. We had success, but sure, yeah. At one point, I had a record that definitely got shattered. I think all of them, maybe except one, is probably still out there floating around. But I think the kickers that we've had in the last few years have been outstanding, been tremendous. But I've enjoyed it. I don't remember the last time I kicked football. So
I
tried to do humans, and I didn't do humans versus zombies this year, but a couple of years ago I tried. I'd pulled the hamstring run over the railroad tracks, so if I went out there, I probably would tear my hip. So.
That would not be something.
Not be ideal.
So I guess that takes the next question.
Workers' compensation.
Takes the next question of you're not going to go out and kick a field goal today with us.
No, you want me to do it today?
I mean, I don't. If you were.
Do you have it? Is it wet? It's wet.
It's wet outside.
Yeah, it's not really nice out.
Let's table that discussion. Let's put it in the
Okay.
parking lot. Okay, great idea. I might do it if you guys. I may try it one time for you, but extra point. That's it. I'm not going any further.
Well, that's all the questions I got for you today. Thank
Cool.
you for meeting with us and taking time to share with us.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bukoff News. We're out.
And that's all for stuff from T-Ravis and the Bukoff News Group. Hope you liked the video, hope you like and subscribe, and come back next week for more.